Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Basketball PH podcast. Enjoy the show.
Fantasy Basketball PH. Put your money where your mouth is. At ibang talakayan kaya tara halika. Fantasy Basketball PH. Fantasy Basketball PH. Ang numero unong basketball patasya ng Pinas. Fantasy Basketball PH. Dito mapag-uusapan mga ballers na likas. Fantasy Basketball PH. Put your money where your mouth is. Iba't ibang talakayan kaya tara halika. Fantasy Basketball PH ang bida. Na ito'y magsisilbing daungan sa mga hilig na ang basketball ay mapag-usapan. Kasama si Papi Roy, madami kang matututunan gaya ng strategy, analysis sa kaganapan. Pag-uusapan ang DFS, roto head to head, buy low, sell high, add, draft and trade, magic bunot at iba pang transaction sa laro. Lahat dito'y tatalakayin kayo, wag na lumayo. Bida dito yung mga player na magaling kumamada, mala Nikola Jokic at Victor Wembanyama. Yung mga hustle na player like Russell and Dillon at iba pa ay dito natin pwedeng makonsyon. Let's talk about NPBL, UAAP and PBA together with NCAA and NBA. At sa lahat ng mga nangungopya ka ng literal, sa aking mga content di rin kayo magtatagal.
Okay, ayan na nga. Welcome to the Fantasy Basketball PH podcast, your Filipino brand of fantasy basketball at syempre ang numero unong fantasy basketball podcast ng Pinas. Ako ang inyong host, NBA Fantasy Papi Roy in the house. Medyo late ng konti yung episode na to. Usually, well, hindi pala usually. Ang goal ko is ilapag to sa mga susunod na weeks ng mas maaga. Na busy lang tayo and then nagplano ako sa nag-strategize ako kung ano yung mga specific na content na ilalapag natin on a weekly basis, on a daily basis na kaya kong gawin consistently. Kasi syempre, marami pa tayong ginagawa. Meron tayong day job, night job pala. Tapos naglalagari tayo. Minsan sumasayaw tayo sa QC, sa Malate. Depende ko saan may gig. Ah, sa tuwing gabi, makita, may mga ano tayo doon, kliyente tayo. Kinakailangan pa natin magmantika sa katawan para kumita ng pera. Anyways, pero ang point ko lang, may work din tayo sa personal life. Kaya feeling ko kailangan ko i-strategize. And yun, isa to dun sa mga kinalabasan. And I think this is about the weekly trends. So these are the weekly trending players for week 1. Hindi natin makaka-capture lahat. And feeling ko naman, marami na rin kayong mababasa at mapapanood from other podcasts and other pages or other sites, di ba? So, this is another take on it. Ang gagawin ko lang approach is, hindi siya directly na add, drop, sell high, buy low. So, hinati ko lang siya into categories, which is players that are trending upwards and players that are trending downwards. So, ngayon, i-analyze natin tong mga players na to based on their trends. Are they okay ba silang i-hold? Okay ba silang bilhin? Okay ba silang ibenta? Okay ba i-add? No? So, this is not specific only to standard leagues or 12-team leagues. So, kinapture na natin 12-team or standard pababa. And then, of course, it covers across different formats. Mostly head-to-head. Pero i-analyze natin siya in a way na applicable siya across all formats. Okay? Excited na ba kayo? Excited na rin ako. So, umpisahan na natin to mga paps. Hindi ko na syempre i-share yung mukha ko. Actually, ito talaga isa sa mga goal ko this season. Bawasan ko yung pagpapakita ng mukha ko. Okay. Bukod dun sa live Q&A natin kasi wala tayong no choice doon. Trending up na players. Dito na ako titingin dun sa slide na wala naman tayong kodigo lagi eh. Well, kodigo ako ngayon. Titingin ako ng specific stats kapag kinakailangan. Pero disclaimer, hindi na natin pag-uusapan yung mga Nikola Jokic, SGA. So feeling ko naman granted na yun doon sa mga trending app. Kumbaga they are providing value as expected. And then also, feeling ko hindi ko nakikita ng opportunity for transaction yung ibang mga players na wala dito or baka masyadong malalim. So hindi ko na masyado sinama. Kasi nga kina-capture natin yung standards saka yung deeper. So pag masyadong malalim yung nilagay ko, wala na siyang value dun sa 12 team, 14 team. Pag naman sobrang babaw nung nilagay ko, wala naman siyang value dun sa deeper leagues kasi puro kung sino-sino player na lang yung natitira, di ba? So, I guess, posibleng daanin ko na lang sa post yung ibang mga players na wala dito. Pero ito yung i-highlight natin. Okay, Anthony Davis. Obvious naman to if napanood niyo yung episode natin na parallel dun sa partnership natin with Radyo Pilipinas Sports. Na-highlight ko to as almost, I think he's the number one player both in offense and defense. Dahil dun sa performance ni SJ, baka nagkakalapit sila. Pero Anthony Davis is up there. The only reason kaya sinama ko siya dito is for those na hindi talaga trip si Anthony Davis, parang low sila just because of the injury concerns, pero pinili nila or pinik nila just because he's the best available. Iilan lang naman siguro yan kasi ako medyo committed din ako and naniniwala ako that Anthony Davis is healthier than previous years. So I'm gonna hold. Pero dun sa mga may concern, this is the best time to trade Anthony Davis. So yun lang ang punto ko dito. So if you wanted more floor or lesser question mark, lesser injury questions, double check natin yan sa mga back-to-back games nila. Pero I think he'll definitely play. He played already. So, yeah, I think he's a hold. Pero dun sa mga gustong i-flip, this is the best time for you to flip Anthony Davis. Maybe you can get a value na sana naman, yung reason nyo na kaya nyo lang itetrade si Anthony Davis is for the injury concern. Sana yung kunin nyo naman kapalit is yung mas lesser yung concern na yun. Like for example, if you get a Jason Tatum plus something, Jason Tatum package, then it does make sense. Diba? Kasi Jason Tatum plays more in terms of health. Pero paano kung ma-dominate din nila yung season this year? Eh, di ba? Kaya iupo din sila by depende dun sa playoffs ng liga nyo. Baka din iupo tawag dito, si Jason Tatum. So sino pa? Sino pa yung mga pasok dun sa safe na first rounder. If it's a combination of a second rounders, then go ahead. But yun lang yung point ko. Hindi ito para sa lahat, para lang to doon sa mga iilan na best pick available pagkatapos or best player available tapos technically and based on their personality, hindi sila masyado tiwala sa healthy Anthony Davis. So again, go ahead. Doon naman sa mga opportunista, I think double check yung mga ganung player kasi if you believe na hindi naman siya eventually may injured or mauupo ng back-to-back, then try to get Anthony Davis. So hindi nyo na goal na mag-profit. Ang goal nyo na lang is pakuha si Anthony Davis in a fair trade. So ayun, hindi naman lagi kailangan lumamang. Hindi naman kailangan lagi buy low. It's more of like really getting players that you think can win you the league. No? So I think Anthony Davis is one of them. Same thing with LaMelo Ball. So obviously, ang difference lang nila is first rounder si Anthony Davis, second rounder si LaMelo Ball. I think LaMelo Ball is a first rounder kaso bumaba siya dahil of the uh, injury concerns plus well, actually yun lang kasi pabor sa kanya kapag nagtatalo ang Charlotte Hornets. So if that's the case, again, this is the best opportunity kasi nagwalwal si LaMelo Ball in the first week of the NBA season. So ayun. Wala naman akong difference dito pero yun yung point or angle ko kay Anthony Davis or LaMelo. Else, hold lang. Zach LaVine, technically the same thing. It just I'm just kind of like really thinking of angles and opportunities in terms of trading. And trading kasi hindi siya may art of how you trade. Wala naman akong kaso dun sa mga trade lang ng trade. Meron kasi ganun masipag mag-trade. Pero hindi sila creative. Creative sila sa panig lang nila. Pero hindi ako galit. Nakakainis, of course, pero hindi ako galit dun sa mga ganong traders kasi that's the purpose of trading eh. Gusto talaga nilang mag-benefit eh. So, pwede mo naman kasing tawag dito, i-reject. So, tapos na. So, di-reject nyo lang, di wala nang kwenta. Yung mainis lang kayo, pero yun lang yung sagot talaga doon. But then again, I would like to also encourage everyone to be as creative as much as you can. And ito yun ng mga nakikita kong angles. People ano kasi tayo eh, driven by emotions and driven by current news and current or updates, di ba? So dahil maganda yung performance sa Zach LaVine, minsan nalilimutan na nila kung bakit naging low yung tao kay Zach LaVine. So kaya naging low yung tao kay Zach LaVine kasi ay baka mamaya trade yan. Ay hindi yan matawag dito. Hindi na yan magtatagal sa Chicago Bulls. Baka iupo, baka magtampo, katulad ni James Harden, hindi na maglaro. So those stuff is still in place. Pero mas optimistic na ako kay Zach LaVine. Ako, I have several Zach LaVine stocks kasi mas optimistic ako over the I don't know if it's a majority or minority. Pero nagsa-slide kasi Zach LaVine eh. Though, nung update, pinaka-recent update ng Yahoo, hindi na. Ubos agad yung value ni Zach LaVine. Parang, it's as if walang question mark si Zach LaVine. Eh, no? So, I think, nasayang, nakakapanghinayang yung value ni Zach LaVine doon. But anyways, almost similar kay Anthony Davis at LaMelo Ball. Brandon Ingram, on the other hand, this is like an opportunity naman for that is currently happening sa New Orleans Pelicans. So, ang ganda ng performance siya since na-injured si DeJounte Murray. Pero eventually, babalik si DeJounte Murray. Bumalik na si Zion Williamson. Naka-impact din to. Hindi naman bababa yung performance ni Brandon Ingram ng todo. Ang concern ko lang is, ito na yung parang lumalabas na floor niya eh. Dadating pa si Trey Murphy. 'Di ba? So, kapag na-trade siya, posibleng wala na ring upside. Maybe lesser. Uh, Bilang lang yung teams na willing na hayaan si Brandon Ingram to be their top player or even secondary player, di ba? So I guess, best opportunity na to habang wala pa yung mga ibang mga players ng New Orleans Pelicans. So yeah, I think he's trending up but I would suggest to sell. Um, Another one is CJ McCollum. Magkakampi sila. CJ McCollum, steady Freddy naman yung value ni CJ McCollum eh. Ang concern ko lang talaga kay CJ McCollum is yung pagbabalik ulit ng mga players na currently wala ngayon. So, practically the same si Brandon Ingram. Pagsasamayan ko na sana talaga to eh. Actually, nagkamali ako. Hindi ko to na-edit. Magkasama dapat sila. So, idadagdag natin dito si Jeremy Grant. So, Jeremy Grant naman, unfortunately, hindi kita dun sa dun sa slide do kasi hindi ko na bago. Si Jeremy Grant naman kasi, feeling ko sobrang hindi na siya mawawala dito sa listahan natin every week just because yung concern ng March Madness sa kanya, March Madness meaning malamang magpapahinga na naman siya, is always gonna be there. So, maganda yung performance ni Jeremy Grant. We have a window of opportunity. So, go ahead and trade for Jeremy Grant. Ang problema kasi, minsan, tong mga suggestion natin ng mga sales, alam na rin ng iba eh. Kasi we're looking at, we're watching, we're checking, we're reading almost possibly same references, same sites, same pages, same set of fantasy basketball analysts. So for you to take advantage of it, I don't suggest a one-to-one na trade. I would suggest na multiple players involved, na 2-to-2. Kasi if itetrade nyo lang basta kunwari si Jeremy Grant or si Brandon Ingram, alam na yan eh, na parang ay, hindi ko to bibilhin ng mataas na presyo or hindi ako basta-basta magko-commit or makikipag-trade kasi alam ko eh. Alam ko din ang mangyayari eh, di ba? Minsan pa nga tinetake nila as ano yun, as negative na parang ano ako bata, di ba? Pero again, para sa akin kasi trade is an art. So minsan may mga may mga malupiton talaga na trader, you know, yung mga cops, yung tinitingnan lang talaga nila yung side nila. Ako kasi simula nung tamad kasi ako mag-commish dati, pero simula nung nag-commish na ako, natutunan ko na yung for a trade to actually be a good trade. Of course, number one, both sides should agree. Yun naman ang pinaka-obvious, no? Regardless kung lugi hindi. Yun. Kaso syempre, it's gonna go to league votes. It's gonna go to commish votes. So, pag talagang walay na walay, pumayag lang yung dalawa, hindi din yung magpo-push through. Tapos ang masama doon, baka matandaan pa kayo ng liga at ng commish. So, sa mga susunod na trades, I don't know, maybe first impressions last. So, yun yung concern ko doon. So, my point here is just be creative. Use Brandon Ingram or use Jeremy Grant as a kicker, 'di ba? In that way, hindi siya yung main piece. Mas umaangat yung pag-sell a little bit high mo in a good timing or in an opportunity like this. So, yun. Gusto ko lang i-point 'yan. Norman Powell. So bakit trending up siya? Pero bakit naman? Hindi ko pa pala sinasabi, no? I think it's a good sell. I don't know if you can really sell high, pero technically it's sell high based on how or where you actually drafted Norman Powell. In general, hold, 'di ba? Nakakuha na kayo ng scorer at okay yung projection ni Norman Powell. So, goods na ako doon. Pwede ko siyang i-hold. Pero again, just to have fun and just to take an opportunity. He's one of the hottest player na pinag-uusapan ngayon. I think baka makabulag kayo. Maybe again, kicker siya, maybe hindi siya yung main piece. Ang point ko lang kasi kay Norman Powell fine. Ako, masaya ako kasi to some extent, proud ako na medyo na-predict ko to. Naalala nyo nung feeling ko naman lahat naman tayo lalo sa Pinas, no. Nung first mock draft namin ni na Josh Lloyd, binanatan pa ni Josh Lloyd yung Norman Powell. I think that's my third to the last na round 10 ata yun, round 11. Round 11 ata na pick ko Norman Powell. Tapos wala daw upside, di ba? Ako kasi tinitingnan ko yung Kawhi Leonard ankle. Maaga lang siya nangyari. So I'm not bragging just because of that. Sinuwerte lang din na maaga nangyari kay Kawhi. So ngayon, that's that. Masaya ka na. Masaya na ako. Masaya na lahat nung nakakuha ng Norman Powell. Na ayos, maganda yung pick ko kay Norman Powell. Pero ang question ko is, now what? 'Di ba? Meron ka ng Norman Powell. Ang punto kasi dito, wala na siyang iangat mga paps eh. Ito na yun eh. We're looking at pick Norman Powell. Ano pa bang hinihintay natin dito? You're getting scoring, you're getting snipes. What else? That's it. That's basically it. Ang pinaka-solid na lang dyan, if he does it consistently. And if totally 100% din na maglalaro si Kawhi. Yun. Pero what if maglaro si Kawhi? So then it bumps the value of Norman Powell. So, since nakuha naman natin siya cheaper than his value right now, I'm not saying na manghinayang ka kasi mawawala kang scorer. I'm saying this is a good opportunity to get a player na mas okay yung floor. Di ba? So, yun. I think there's an opportunity for Norman Powell. Nick Richards, mas clearer version dun sa take ko kay Norman Powell. Is trending upwards just because wala si Mark Williams. And again, hindi pa naman 100% sure na hindi babalik si Mark Williams. So, currently, clear-cut yung rotation ng front court ng Charlotte Hornets. It's not gonna be the same kapag andyan na si Mark Williams. So, if you can trade Nick Richards dahil mababang value nyo lang siya na draft, cheap lang, oras na para kumita. Kuha tayong profit. Same thing with Buddy Hield. Ang catch lang kay Buddy Hield, he's trending up. Pero yung last game niya earlier today showed that hindi pa rin dapat natin makalimutan who was Buddy Hield in the previous seasons. Wherein he has ability na, alam mo yun, uminit and he's really a good shooter. Especially in a Golden State Warriors jersey. Ang problema lang is, meron din siyang mga deficiencies. He doesn't have defensive stats. There's also some concerns in his consistency. Pagkatapos, easily, kapag na target na siya ng defense, nahihirapan na talaga siya. It was visible or it was noticeable in the game earlier. Kaso, injured si Steph Curry. They are saying na Steph Curry is gonna miss couple of games, not long, sabi lang nila, several games. Kaso napaka-vague ng several eh. 3 week, does 3 weeks to 4 weeks count as several? So, let's try to be optimistic. Let's try to be conservative. ibig sabihin lang nun, medyo magbabump yung value ni Buddy Hield. Of course, you have an option to hold and ride it along. So, di ko pinupush na makapag-trade. But then again, this is a good opportunity to sell and get some profit. Kasi pag bumalik si Stephen Curry, then limited ulit at capped ulit yung value ni Buddy Hield. There will be, sa head-to-head solid siya kasi chip nyo na-trap siya, almost second to the last round or even minsan last pick mo pa. Tapos, he can easily get you a lot of snipes and almost 20 points in a good day. Diba? Yun nga lang, syempre, specialist kasi siya. Tapos, sobrang deep ng rotation ng Golden State Warriors. I can't really say and no one can guarantee na he can do this all season long. Unless otherwise, someone gets hurt or someone gets bumped down. Like, for example, in the past couple of games, it was the Anthony Milton being bumped down. They are winning, so that's fine. What if they get to a losing streak and eventually ma-appreciate ni Steve Kerr na, we need some defense that can still score and can still shoot. Then that's the Anthony Milton for you. So, again, we're still in the first week. There's a lot of angles here. Para sa akin, if you're getting a sure thing, a player na mas goods at mas sure yung mga angulo, then I'd rather have that over Buddy. Despite yung current situation ni Buddy. Eves or Ives Misi. Trending up simula nung nag-guest tayo dun sa Sport Ethos. Tapos sinabi ko na if merong players, situations, or any news that for me was a bummer during the preseason. Ano yun? And ang sinagot ko doon is yung rotation ng front court ng New Orleans Pelicans. Kasi walang clear cut na ano na target big man bago no, hindi pala bago pagkatapos ng preseason. It could be Daniel Tyus, it could be Yves Missi. Hindi natin nakita si Carlo Matkovic. Tapos yung balita na si Herb Jones yung magse-center, palong-palo, di ba? So there was no clear path to any specific big man until mag-umpisa na yung season. And as you all know, si Missy, he is getting couple of minutes more than Daniel Tyus, almost around 20 minutes give or take, and is actually giving good stats. Not only just blocks, not only just rebounds, but may steals pa siya. So, that for me is a good thing. Soon enough, baka ma-overtake na talaga niya si Daniel Tyus. And there's an upside in Yves Missi. So, if hindi nyo pa na-add siya at kailangan nyo ng big man, then go ahead and add Missi. There's gonna be games na wala siyang gagawin kasi rookie pa to and still adjusting to the league. Pero there's an upside there. At ang kagandahan sa kanya, nag-stabilize na yung floor niya. Maybe not in standard leagues and shallower. Alam mo yun, hindi mo naman pupulutin yun sa 10-team, malamang. Sa 12-team borderline, maybe definitely a good streamer, pero I still doubting na mag-stick ka kay Yves Missi the whole season. Kasi, again, there will be games na hindi talaga siya magpo-provide ng usual value niya na binibigay ngayon. So he is more alluring sa 14 team and deeper. Ang ano lang diyan, ang tanong lang kasi diyan mga paps, how do you define upside? Subjective kasi tayo ng upside. And then how do you compare it doon sa floor mismo? Minsan kasi if we're too optimistic doon sa upside, like several names na pag-usapan natin mamaya, you might lose couple of weeks kasi you keep waiting and hoping pero hindi niya na ma-match or hindi nagta-translate yung upside. So uh upside is cheap. Parang ano yun parang words are cheap. Parang upside is cheap until it becomes reality. So sana sobrang solid tong core ng team mo. Then you can take yung katulad ni Yves Missi na upside player. But then again, sabi ko, nag-stabilize na yung floor niya. Another name, Rui Hachimura. He should be added. Yung mga veteran na nag nagfa-fantasy, hindi siya masyado pinapansin. Is definitely a good add in points leagues. even in other formats, hindi lang siguro yung mga standard and shallower. Ang concern natin kasi kay Rui Hachimura this is a byproduct of the JJ Redick effect. But will this continue throughout the season? So that's the bigger question. Kasi I think it's something that is actually anchored based on the progression of uh, Jared Vanderbilt's knees. Palagay ko naman, pag naglaro si Jared Vanderbilt, hindi naman agad yun kukuha ng malaking minutes. But he'll definitely take away minutes from Rui Hachimura. So yun lang naman yung concern ko. Ang kagandahan lang kasi ni Rui, kaya solid din yung nangyayari sa kanya ngayon na is actually trending up. Ang kagandahan kasi sa kanya, there's an upside, knock on the wood, just in case something's happened to AD or something happens to LeBron or both gets rest days. What if solid talaga yung performance nila, manalo sila lang manalo. Then, soon enough, kapag meron na silang solid na pundasyon sa standings, they might be rested. Tapos, papantok sumakto pa yun sa playoffs. Hindi ko pa na-check yung back-to-backs eh. So, isa yun sa aralin natin. Pero, yun yung upside ni Rui. Diba? Other than that, medyo fluky pa for me. Baka hindi pa to consistent na mangyari. Ang kagandahan lang kasi niya, hindi naman natin to dito ng sobrang taas eh. Yung iba, pinulot lang siya si free agent. So, I think he's a hold. Will I trade him? Medyo mahirap kasi siyang i-sell eh. Parang who wants Rui, di ba? So, I think pwede, kicker mo lang. Pero as of the moment, he's a good add and he's a good hold. Okay. So, we have 20 players pala mga paps. Ito, magiging ano to. Ay, magiging controversial to. Pero mamaya na yon. Kita nyo naman dun sa image na pinoproject natin. Another Pelican. Ang daming Pelican eh. Kasi sobrang ano nila eh. Fantasy friendly. Dahil maraming nawala. At malaki yung usage na nawala. So Jordan Hawkins, umay na kayo dito. Hindi ko na papahabain to. Alam nyo naman na yung explanation ko dyan. Siya na yung third or arguably second best shooter dun sa koponan nila. So, if there's a need, there's gonna be a role and there's gonna be minutes. And he's actually, getting enough value to be rostered. Not definitely in the shallower formats or even in standards, maybe a good stream. Or if you needed points then, fine. Pero dun sa mga 14 pababa, lalo na kung points leagues din yung nilalaro mo, I think solid na add itong si Jordan Hawkins. So ensure na-add nyo na si Jordan Hawkins. He's a good sell then just because Pelican siya. At same explanation do sa in-explain ko kanina. Second tire pa siya, off the bench pa siya. So kapag dumating na or the Pelicans gets healthier, then mawawalan siya ng value. Rayman, the AI of the 2024-2025 NBA season. Solid no, para siyang si Allen Iverson. Feeling ko na pop-pump masyado yung value niya tapos na tawag dito, na-hype siya masyado for wrong reasons. Kasi pinupuri nila yung pag-score, pinupuri nila yung tawag dito, yung potential niya nung nasa OKC pa. It's not a wrong angle. Pero kasi eh, yun ba talaga yung dahilan kaya maganda yung value niya ngayon? I think there's some truth to it and nangyayari talaga siya in reality. Pero for me, the biggest reason is injured kasi si Brandon Miller. Do you think Trayman will eventually do the same thing? Provide the same amount of points? Kung andyan si Brandon Miller? He's gonna score. But I really doubt na he can do it consistently with Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges healthy. So, para sa akin, another main angle ng value ni Trayman is being handcuffed behind LaMelo Ball. So, I guess that's one of the reason why I like Trayman. Pero syempre, iba-iba naman tayo. Subjective naman tayo na angulo. Ako, yun talaga yung nakikita kong angulo. So, you won't be able to sell high Trayman, that's for sure. Lalo na't pinulot mo lang din sa FA. May mga ganun kasing mga GM eh. Parang ma-pride sila na hindi nila tinitingnan yung actual value. Ang tinitingnan nila, hindi mo naman dinraft yan eh. Ba't kita bibigyan nung dinraft ko? Okay lang yun. Okay lang yun. Pero para sa akin kasi the moment na nag-umpisa na yung season, doesn't matter. Kung kailan mo dinraft yan. Swertihan na lang yan. Kung late mo na draft, tapos may value, then you're a lucky son of a B. Pero kung hindi naman, napulot mo lang sa FA, pagkatapos solid ang performance, like Jalen Johnson, couple of seasons ago. Actually, last year lang pala yun. Then, di ba? Palong-palo. So, we're always trying to search for a Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson kasi, sinuwerte lang yon. Kasi wala din si Trae Young. It would have been, feeling ko different yung mangyayari kung kompleto sila. Na andun fully si Trae Young, andun fully si DeJounte Murray. Kasi there were games na alternating, wala sila, and then there's a conflict. So, kumbaga, the potential was there, pero malaking bagay din yung nangyayari dun sa team niya. So I can't really say na madali siyang i-replicate yung nangyari kay Jalen Johnson. So there's just few teams na pwedeng ganun yung situation. Tapos umaasa ka pa na may ma-injury or hindi maglaro. So medyo tricky yun. But hindi siya yung pag-usapan dito. Ang punto ko lang kay Treyman, mahirap siyang i-sell, pero he's a good hold. If he's a good ad, if palutang-lutang pa siya. And yeah, well, actually yun lang. Dyson Daniels, feeling ko ito yung magtataka kayo. Kasi trending up naman talaga siya. Wala namang kaso doon. Halos siya na talaga yung pinag-uusapan in the past couple of days eh. Pero I'm looking at an angle that it's it's a very good sell high opportunity for Dyson Daniels. Kinikwenta ko kasi, ano yung best case scenario ni Dyson Daniels? I think yung best case scenario niya is going to be the Jalen Johnson scenario, di ba? Ngayon, ang catch lang kasi kay Dyson Daniels, he's not, I think Jalen Johnson is a better scorer. I think Jalen Johnson has better outside shooting. I think that Jalen Johnson has more playmaking skills than Dyson Daniels. Not to take away the credit from Dyson Daniels. Kita niyo naman yung stats niya. He is actually the real Amen Thompson eh. Yung expectation na lahat kay Amen Thompson, Dyson Daniels ang gumagawa. So, I think we can all agree that a Jalen Johnson type of stat set is a little bit far-fetched just because of his skill set. Diba? Next, maganda yung dynamics ngayon ng Atlanta Hawks. Then you also have someone that they will eventually develop alongside Dyson Daniels, which is Zachary Risache. It so happened na injured si Bogdan Bogdanovic. It so happened na injured din si DeAndre Hunter right now. And then Atlanta Hawks is a very mediocre team. It means they will lose at some point. They will get a losing streak at some point. Up to what extent? Doon ba sa mga games na yun, mabababad si Dyson Daniels para makakuha pa ng maraming stats? O doon sa mga time na yun, hayaan nila kay Zirisa Shea kasi yun yung price truking nila. So, despite the upside, despite doon sa happiness and excitement na naramdaman natin by getting Dyson Daniels, there is a good chance na we are actually getting then yung peak stat set ni Dyson Daniels. And I think still it's a top 50 value, 'di ba? Technically. So, ang naisip ko lang naman is compared to other players that has better role, is in a better situation, can score more, can have mas established yung ibang stats sa kanya, and still also within top 50. I can see you profiting in that exchange wherein ang tinrade mo kay Dyson Daniels, it's more of like you're actually clearing some risk. So kumuha ka lang ng mas sure na value. Alam kong panalo ka na. Yung suggestion malamang at naiisip nyo din to malamang is kapag sira, ba't natin gagalawin? I just think of it as a good opportunity Kasi there's still some uncertainty around Dyson Daniels. It's super, super good. Talagang nakikita ko sa kanya, he has the perfect role, perfect team, perfect uh, tandem kasama si Trae Young. Kaso kasi naisip ko din, though this may be overthinking too much, pero like, what if magkaroon ng trade? Ah, di natin masasabi. Kanina nga, doon sa rumors lang naman yun. Usually, hindi ako hanggat hindi sinasabi ni Woj or ni Shams. Wala na pala si Woj ngayon. Basta hanggat hindi sinasabi ni Shams, wala lang sa akin yun. Mga parang kwentong barbero lang yun. Pero, what if may ganong scenario na MPJ, di ba? So, it's gonna mess up Dyson Daniels. Is he one of the main pieces ng Atlanta Hawks right now? He could be. He could be. Of course. Pero, hindi tayo yung GM eh. I mean, in fantasy, star siya sa fantasy. In reality, I'm not that sure. I think it should be Trey Young still. It should be Jalen Johnson. Ngayon nga, alam natin na valuable sa kanila si Onyeka Okongwu, but it's been seasons and seasons bago pa magkaroon ng clear path si Clint Capela. So it just shows how Atlanta Hawks thinks, di ba? So yun, again, you don't have to, consider yung suggestion ko. You can hold it, 'di ba? Panalo na 'yan eh. I'm not sure if it's a league winner, pero advantage na agad 'yun eh. Makakuha ka ng Dyson Daniels. I just think there's an opportunity to get more if you actually find a trade partner and flip Dyson Daniels into a more established top 50 guy. So, yun lang yung take ko dyan. Um, Next names, Christian Braun, Adenhold. Baka hindi nyo pa napupulot si Christian Braun, no? I think ma-maintain niya yung value na binaprovide niya just because yan yung role na kinakailangan ng team. So, reality is actually uh, the fantasy value is backed up dun sa currently nangyayari na sa kanya at dun sa team ng Denver Nuggets. So, solid na solid si Christian Braun, another trending up player. Medyo sa mga malalim na players na to. Ben Mathurin, nakalimutan nga ng lahat, no? Masyado na meron pang Ben Maturin. So, kailangan mo ng scoring. Doon sa dulo, isa na lang siya doon sa mga option na yun. Ang, ang concern ko lang kay Maturin kasi syempre, medyo specialist siya. More of scoring. Wala masyadong peripheral stats. Pagkatapos, hopefully, magpapanalo pa ang Indiana Pacers. Di ba? Yun. Kasi, if hindi, depende doon sa situation, Aaron Nesmith offers a different value over Ben Mathurin. So what if mas kailangan bigla ng Indiana Pacers yung shooting and defense ni Aaron Nesmith more, 'di ba? Of course, nangyayari na ngayon 'yon, pero Aaron Nesmith is not getting like the the usual big minutes that he had last year. So yun lang. So para sa akin fringe yung value ni Ben Mathurin dahil especially siya and yun nga may possibility of moving pieces around the Indiana Pacers. Tapos yun nga baka naka-highlight din yun dahil itong si Tyrese Haliburton isn't really playing the expected value and stat set that we expected him to do. No? So, yun. Bilal Coulibaly, solid, trending up. Isa to dun sa mga binitaw natin na players that I like sa dulo at sa malalalim na liga when we guested at the Sport Ethos show alongside Dr. A. Shout out to Dr. A, Aaron Bruski, and Rick Kamla. Sabi ni Dr. A, hindi pa daw siya bought in na kayang gawin ni Bilal yun. Well, gets ko naman yun. Pero kasi para sa akin, it doesn't matter actually. Kasi last pick mo na to. Alam mo yun, para if there are players na mag-overcomplicate ka ng analysis, I think those are the players na within the first 8 rounds, I guess. Pag sa dulong round na, flyer na, tapos even if deep leagues, kasi wala ka na rin naman choice, I don't think you need to overthink it. Um, ang daming kasing upside players sa Washington Wizards. Maganda pa yung direction ng Washington Wizards kasi pinapalaro na yung mga bata. Tapos malamang pagdating ng may mga matitrade dyan, tapos pagdating ng dulo, magwawalwal na sila. So, ano mo yun, the direction and yung potential is there. Yun nga lang, losing team sila. Pero, if mamimili ka doon sa mga youngsters, lamang agad si Bilal, of course. Kasi second year na niya to eh. Yung iba, nagta-transition pa. Si Alex Sarr, si Bob Carrington, si Keyshawn George. Tama ba, Keyshawn? Or tama, kay Sean George. So, ano yun, nagta-transition pa sila. So, lamang agad si Bilal and sabi ko nga dun sa ghosting ko, si Bilal is like a cheap version of Giannis Antetokounmpo. A variant of Giannis. So, let's see kung mami-maintain niya. Hindi pa consistent yung mga defensive stats and all. Pero seeing him aggressive in terms of scoring is a very nice touch. So yeah, trending up si Bilal. Sa ngayon, hold nyo muna. I doubt na basta-basta may mataas na value agad si Bilal. If hindi nyo siya nakukuha, lalo na doon sa mas malalalim na liga, then you have to add Bilal Coulibaly. Andre Drummond, obvious naman, 'di ba? Walang Joel Embiid, so he's getting a lot of stats, he's getting a lot of opportunity. Pero at some point, dadalawahin na natin to, saka si Kelly Oubre, even Caleb Martin, na doon dito sa listahan. At some point maglalaro si Paul George, at some point maglalaro si Joel Embiid. I think they're healthier than expected. Feeling ko scam yun eh. Gusto lang talaga makatakas ng Sixers doon sa load management. Gusto lang nilang illegit or illegitimize yung on front of our faces na ay ganito kasing sitwasyon kaya talagang eventually hindi siya makakapaglaro lagi. But regardless, let's say sabihin na natin 50. Yan over, hindi na yan conservative. 50 games lang lalaro ni Paul George saka ni Joel Embiid. But definitely they'll still play. That's most likely, sure. So you only get pump in value ng 32 games. So that's what? One more than one-fourth, diba? With that said, feeling ko we have to hammer and try to get a more established top 70 value or top 50 value over Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre and Caleb Martin. Medyo mas mahirap ibenta yung Caleb Martin. Maybe ganun din si Kelly Oubre. Actually, lahat sila mahirap basta ibenta straight up. Kasi, yun nga, alam na rin ng tao yung ina-analyze natin. So, uulitin ko, be creative. So, if they are not the main piece of the trade at sila lang yung pampadulas or kicker, then maybe in hindsight, hindi masyado basta makita or hindi nakatago siya, kumbaga, na eventually hindi din, kumbaga, matutubo ka, may profit. So, yeah, I think they're good sells, si Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre. Usually, ang mga pinili ko dito mga players kasi mga cheap natin to na draft eh. So, if you can flip them into a more established team players, then yeah, I do that. Next, Dante DiVincenzo. Trending up siya. Weird kasi. Si Dante DiVincenzo yung example na trending up siya because of the role. Kasi initially, there are low expectation kay Dante DiVincenzo nung nasa New York siya. So, nung na-trade siya sa tawag dito sa Minnesota, technically trending up na yon. Then, hindi pa nagta-translate ng todo sa stats. Pero the minutes and the role is already trending up. Naapektuhan na si Rob Dillingham at si Mike Conley immediately. So, we're just waiting dun sa actual stats to happen. So, kaya, in-include ko pa rin siya sa trending up despite hindi pa masyado nangyayari yung stat. With that said, he's already trending up but I guess he can do more. So, nasa trending up siya, pero I can almost say na medyo by low-ish yung dating ni Dante para sa akin dahil yun nga hindi pa nagbo-boom yung stats. Uh, People are concerned kasi of course may Anthony Edwards ka, may Julius Randle ka. Feeling ko at some point they would really need Dante DiVincenzo to do his thing. No, hindi pa dumadating yung solid na steals, hindi pa dumadating yung strict shooting. Nagkakapaan pa sila bagong magkakakampi pa tong mga to eh. So, yeah, I think Dante De Vincento is trending up and he needs more love. Lastly, Tomani Camara. Solid, solid. Isa to dun sa mga gusto kong players deep league. Solid forward, can almost do it all. Ang concern ko lang sa kanya is low usage siya. So hindi siya basta-basta makaka-score or makaka-average ng 15 points every game, 'di ba? Pero it's the Portland Blazers. And I think given na isa sa main problem ng Portland Blazers is their defense. And for me, arguably Tomani Camara could be their best defender just because he can guard multiple um multiple positions. Kasi Donovan Clingan arguably is a good blocker but I doubt he can really guard faster, quicker wings and guards, 'di ba? Baka iiwanan lang siya nun. Tomani Camara on the other hand is fast enough to actually keep up. So, that's value for me. In reality, nakita ko agad yung main value ni Tomani Camara sa team na to. So, it's just a matter of paano to magta-translate in fantasy. And I think it's gonna happen. It might not happen immediately. It's already happening, di ba? Ang ganda yung performance niya in the past earlier sa game kanina. So, tama ba? Kanina yun, isang araw. He's getting steals, he's getting piso-pisong tres, good rebounds, may assist pa. So, yeah, para sa akin, deeper league, solid, Tomani Camara. Okay, next set of players. Couple of, iba yung mga angles na tinitingnan natin, no, mga paps. Sana hindi ko, imbis na nakatulong, baka nag, nagkaroon pa kayo ng isipin. First 10 sa trending down players natin. Of course, kailangan natin isama si Victor Wembanyama dyan. Kalokohan na hindi isasama si Victor. Bakit? Kasi there's a reason kaya yung ibang liga nag 3RR eh. Kasi regardless kung si Victor Wembanyama is umangat o hindi. Pag deeper leagues talaga, suggested ang 3RR. So, hindi ako nagpa 3RR or third round reversal sa 14 teamers na leagues ko. Pero yung 16 deep ko, nag third round reversal na kami. So, one good reason is to make it balance. And then, of course, what if biglang bumomba ng todo si Victor Wembanyama? So, kawawa naman yung, kunwari, kung 16 deep yan, kawawa naman yung 16 pick. Paano naman niya matatapatan yung value ni Victor Wembanyama? No? So, sobrang logi naman. Kaya talagang third round reversal. Yung iba sinasabi, hindi, pagalingin lang sa draft yan. Oo naman, andun na tayo. Pero, let's not also just say the pagalingan lang yon. Kasi you're just looking at maybe ikaw magaling ka, di ba? So as someone that organizes and commissions leagues, you have to think of the whole league first. And for that to happen, 3RR is the most ideal. Kung gusto niyo mag-auction, yun ang mas solid. Kaso, hindi lahat gusto yung auction. Anyways, kailangan natin lagay si Victor Wembanyama is he's already performing nice, decent, but it's possibly the worst start for someone like Victor Wembanyama. Kaya ako siya nilagay dito, he's trending down. I would like to buy low kay Victor Wembanyama. Parang, Pops, possible ba yun? For Victor, yes. Kasi this is a rare opportunity na hindi kagandahan yung stats niya. Wala pang blocks, mababa yung field goal percentage. Not saying na lahat yan in one night ay mababago na parang ay hindi malas lang sa mga susunod na games ganyan. Hindi. He's still a second he's still a sophomore bago pa rin si Victor Wembanyama. And ikukumpara mo kay Chet, there's a big difference in terms of dynamics ng OKC versus dynamics ng Spurs, 'di ba? Unfortunately for sa Spurs, no, kahit na fan ako ng Spurs, ang laki ng difference doon. Mas maganda yung position ni Chet. Mas lower yung risk just because he has SGA and yung system nila. Si Wembanyama kasi is their main man. So malaking difference in terms of how team will react, how would team will defend. Actually, ang laking bagay pa. Tapos wala pa din si Devin Vassell. So yun yung point ko. Alam natin na mag-i-improve ba to? And I think it could really drastically improve. Especially kapag andyan na si Devin Vassell. They need someone that can give Wemby more space. And that someone should be a scorer. That someone should be someone that makes plays. CP3 is too old enough. Harrison Barnes is meh. Keldon Johnson won't get that role again just because of his deficiencies and the depth right now. Castle is young, bata pa masyado. So, Devin Vassell talaga is the key. And hopefully, pagdating ni Devin Vassell, this gets better. It already got better in his second game, and it's gonna get better more. Kaya, habang may opportunity pa, awitan nyo na si Victor Wembanyama. Again, you won't get a lot of profit. It's just about getting Victor Wembanyama. Maybe you're trading like your first rounder plus one just to get Victor Wembanyama. Okay lang yun kasi Victor Wembanyama yun. Hindi lang ako okay kung first two picks mo yun. If it's like, kasi kunwari, maganda yung performance ni, sabihin na natin si Jason Tatum. Tapos kunwari, nakuha mo din si Chet Holmgren. Lugi na yun. Hindi naman ako papayag na Tatum plus Holmgren for Victor Wembanyama. That's overpaying. So feeling ko it's your first rounder and maybe your fourth or fifth pick, mga ganun. As long as yung first rounder mo, hindi si Joel Embiid. Di ba? Baka naman yun, o kaya fringe guy. So kunwari, kung meron kang James Harden, o isama mo, siguro papatusin ko na yung James Harden plus... Well, iba-ibang case naman. Basta kunwari, James Harden plus yung fourth rounder mo or third rounder. Feeling ko, swabe na yun. Or gawin mo 2-2. Parang Victor Wembanyama na lesser na value plus your first two picks. So, be creative. Wala naman, mahirap magbigay ng example kasi wala tayong options. Pero yun, ang point ko lang is rare opportunity to trade for Victor Wembanyama. Next player, ito obvious na to. Di ba? Obvious na to. Tyrese Haliburton. Siguro ang angulo ko na lang dito is, okay, fine, mag-i-improve siya. Okay, fine, eventually it gets better. The question is, will he ever get back to the first round Tyrese Haliburton value we saw last year? Kasi baka mamaya, bust din talaga siya eh. Not saying na bust like beyond top 50. Kasi kung later round or second round value lang mapoprovide niya, bust na agad siya automatically for me. Kasi first pick mo yun eh. Ang laki ng difference. So, pinalagpas mo yung ibang mga available na picks, di ba? So, not saying na guaranteed din na magiging bust siya. Ang concern ko lang kasi kay Tyrese is, never ako nagkaroon ng Tyrese. Not because sobrang galing ko mag-analyze or whatever. It's actually because of my weakness. Kasi hindi ako sanay magroto. So, hindi ako sanay bumuo ng team na efficient. So, dahil nahihirapan ako mag-build kay Haliburton kasi isa sa mga gusto kong alagaan sa kanya kung may haliman ako is yung efficiency niya. Pag nagtatry ako mag-mock, saka nagpaplano ako, nahihirapan ako kumuha ng mga complementary players eh. So, para sa akin, if mahihirapan na lang din ako, edi doon ako sa next best available, di ba? Hindi naman sobrang laki ng agwat ng Jokic to Harden yan eh. Di ba? Na malaki yung agwat eh. So, almost kung middle players ng first rounder, pipiliin ko na yung iba na mas madali para sa akin kasi hindi naman sobra-sobra magkakalayo yung value. I'm not saying na hindi nyo dapat i-pick si Tyrese Haliburton. In-explain ko lang kung bakit ako lumalayo sa kanya initially. So ngayon, nadagdag na lang yung angulo na to nung ina-analyze ko na. Ako nahirapan ako dahil mababa yung points niya. So ngayon, dahil nangyari to, na-highlight na tuloy na, ay, isa pa pala sa reason ay mas madaming question kay Haliburton compared dun sa available na first rounder. And sabi ko nga sa inyo, my definition of fantasy basketball is about really minimizing and almost clearing risk. The more sure, the more established your players are, the better. And if you're banking your first pick in a player that lot of variance, di pala a lot, mas may variance kasi sa ibang option, then that's gonna be a questionable pick for me. But that's just me. So with that said, gusto ko lang idagdag yung layer ng question na yun. If you're trying to buy low on Tyrese Haliburton, pag-isipan nyo how low. Hopefully is as low as you can para lang makuha siya. Kasi if you do that, yung Tyrese Haliburton owner, hindi din ibibigay basta yun. So you have to dangle a shiny piece para lang makuha si Haliburton. Maybe you trade Dyson Daniels plus your second round pick. for you to get Tyrese Haliburton. Kasi shiny si Dyson Daniels ngayon. So, I guess that's one angle to be creative and get Tyrese Haliburton. Pero yun nga, he's not getting a lot of dimes. He's not getting a lot of, well, first game niya, solid yung stocks niya. He's not shooting very well. Bukod kasi doon, hindi lang yun eh. Another angle is on the side of that, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and nalimutan ko. Sino pa ba yung isa ka? TJ McConnell is getting a lot of dimes over him. So, it could be not just Tyrese Halliburton's case alone, siya mismo. It could also be the team itself. Then that's going to be really a problem. Kasi if it's the system itself, parang nagbago yung or nag-shift yung dynamics, then mababago talaga yung valuation natin kay Tyrese Haliburton. So, hindi ko kayo tinatakot, nilay down ko lang yung iba't ibang mga angles. So, yeah. Trending down, definitely a buy low. But just watch kung ano yung mga players na willing kayong i-trade for Tyrese Haliburton. I'm hoping and I know na makakabawi si Haliburton. Yun lang. Medyo may question mark lang ako na konti. Bama Adebayo, nagtatatalo yung Miami. No, hindi man nagtatatalo na madami ng games. No? Um, hindi kagandahan yung umpisa ng Miami. Feeling ko mas appropriate yung statement na yon. And yeah, feeling ko aangat pa rin yan si Bam Adebayo. Slow starter lang talaga to si Bam. So yeah, trending down but maybe you buy low. Magkakampi yan. Ganun din kay Jimmy Butler. Good thing, nag-triple-double, almost triple-double-ish na si Jimmy Butler. He's trending down. Arguably is a buy low. But, what if hindi siya nag-trend down? Di ba? What if maganda agad yung value ni Jimmy Butler? And understanding similar case and similar angle na ginamit ko kay LaMelo Ball at kay Anthony Davis, then it's also applicable to Jimmy Butler. So, good thing, meron na agad siyang isang game na almost the same Jimmy Butler as we used to. He looked healthy and that's fine. Maybe magkaroon siya ng Anthony Davis run like last year, this year. Pero if you want to be safer, mabawasan yung risk, then hindi ka pa ng ilang games tapos ibenta mo na si Jimmy Butler. Okay? Jalen Johnson, wala eh. Para sa akin talaga, he's a solid breakout player. Kaya kasama siya sa listahan ko because of two things. Number one, may ibubuga pa siya. Alam ko yun. Number two, to be honest, that's the reason why I like J-Dub more than Jalen Johnson. Kasi naiilang pa rin ako na isipin na he's that guy agad. Na second rounder agad siya. So I have may hesitations. Meron ata akong isa or dalawang Jalen Johnson sa mga liga ko just because he actually fell to me sa third round. So yun, I have to get Jalen Johnson. It's either third round na or last pick ako. So technically, last pick na rin ng second round. So ngayon, it does make sense to get a Jalen Johnson kasi may upside eh. Pero it just shows na I'm not that super high to Jalen Johnson as the others. Kasi may hesitation pa ako eh. Parang second round pa lang to or third round pa lang to. Baliktad pala, no? Tama, second rounder siya ngayon. So second round pa lang to or to third round pa lang to. Ang dami pang available players na mas established. Parang gets ko upside. Kaso, ang iniisip ko kasi, okay, ano yung upside niya? Ang upside niya, magiging first rounder siya? Really? Hindi okay yung free throw percentage niya. And how sure are we na magkakaroon siya ng enough usage to be able to do that? Kasi if you ask me, there's a case sa Atlanta Hawks na when Bogdan Bogdanovic gets healthy, the third he's not gonna be the second usage getter. It could be Bogdan Bogdanovic. So, yun. So, yun yung hesitation ko. Hindi naman big hesitation. Ano lang siya, parang, para sa akin, okay pa rin ako na i-pick second round, third round si Jalen Johnson unless available pa yung iba. So, dun sa tier ko, hindi siya ganun kataas. So, yun lang yung point ko. So, I'm not, ano hindi ko sinisiraan or binababa yung value ni Jalen Johnson. I-explain ko lang yung other side of the coin kasi ang other side of the coin na upside is a risk of not happening eh. Yun eh. Para, uy, upside si ganito. Kaso, kaya sobrang solid ng upside niya kasi may gray area. If hindi naman gray area yun, it's not upside anymore. 'Di ba? It's actually expecting that to be replicated. So, like for example, Jokic, 'di ba? Yung upside niya is not about the stats and what he can do. For me, ang upside ni Jokic is masaasahan siya this year, 'di ba? Pero yung stat set and all, andun na yun eh. And kapag hindi nangyari yun, okay pa rin yung floor. So, para sa akin, yun yung mas sure na value. Kaso kasi yung floor ni Jalen Johnson, saka yung upside, feeling ko sa lahat ng second rounder, malaki yung gap eh. Parang if you'll ask me yung kay J-Dub over him, mas mas established yung kay J-Dub, especially he's playing for OKC. So for me, that also matters. Yung team na kinabibilangan. Anyways, he's trending down. For me, it's a good buy low. Yeah. Gusto ko lang i-explain yung angulo kay Jalen Johnson. Nurkic trending down pero maganda yung performance niya earlier. So maybe magdire-diretso na yon. Nakakatakot lang na baka biglang mag-small ball ang Phoenix Suns, di ba? Pero baka dahil lang hindi sa previous injury niya. Nakita ko na tumitira na siya ng tres. So let's see kung makaka-apekto sa field goal percentage niya. Pero hopefully, yung gusto natin kay Nurkic is sobrang solid na rebounder. Plus, he does a lot of things. Hopefully, he gets healthy again this season. Pero, yeah, like, he's trending down but he's a good buy. Tobias Harris, no? Grabe. Um, Initially, people are high with Tobias Harris kasi kung iisip mo, oy, naglalaro na agad siya sa middle round value, give or take within top 50, di ba? Tapos, nangyari yon sa masikip na role ng Sixers. So ngayon, mapupunta siya sa Detroit. Automatically, it's logical na isipin mo na, malamang it's either retain o kaya bobomba pa. Ang concern mo lang is baka sa dulo iupo, di ba? So, yun lang naman yun. Kaso, as early as now, hindi pa siya nakakatodo. So, the minutes are there, so that's nice. It's just about maybe the shooting, maybe the dynamics, nag-aambo niya pa sila ni na Cade, or baka nagbabakaw masyado si Cade sa tawag dito, nalimutan ko na agad yung yung isa ko pa sasabihin. Si Duren, di ba? Baka yung sistema nila is leaning more na enable si Jalen Duren as their big man. Pwede din yun na angulo. Another thing is si Jaden Ivey is also emerging. So it's taking away usage from Tobias. Pero kasi tinitingnan ko yung stat sheet. The minutes are there and I think hintayin lang natin. So he's a good buy low. Pero tricky kasi yung pagiging buy low niya eh. There's also risk with Tobias Harris. Sabi nga, kung masyado concerned sa dulo. If Roto yan, I'm definitely gonna wait. It's a different take. Mas may room tayo to cover. Pero kung head to head yan, yun, it's a good buy low. Pero I don't think the profit is a lot. D'Angelo Russell, iba ng dynamics simula nung andiyan si JJ Redick eh. Feeling ko hindi pa lang nahuhulog yung mga tira niya. So let's wait for that. Pero ang gusto ko lang talaga kay D'Angelo Russell, knock on the wood if something happens to LeBron and AD, similar to Rui Hachimura na take kanina. Andiyan si D'Lo. And umaangat ka din kasi ngayon si Austin Reeves. Eh. So it takes away that playmaking chores from D'Angelo Russell. Plus there's still LeBron James. No? So D'Angelo Russell has been a consistent top 50, 60-ish player tingnan lang natin kung ano yung magiging impact ng JJ Redick effect. So far, it should be good. It's just about him really shooting better for now. So trending down, but I see him as a good buy low target. Not a lot of profit. Meron risk pa din. Pero there's value there. Nick Claxton, trending down kasi ano pa siya. Hindi pa siya pinapakawalan ng todo ng Brooklyn Nets. I don't think magmamadali sila. They're not fighting for championship or anything. So abang-abang lang tayo. He's just gonna trend up eventually. Is he a good buy low? Sure, kasi nga nasa Brooklyn Nets. Medyo na-burn lang din talaga yung nag-reach kay Nick Claxton. Anyways, yeah, Nick Claxton for me is a good buy low. Jonas Valanciunas, no? Ako dun sa masyadong optimistic kay Jonas Valanciunas eh. So, feeling ko isa to sa mga players that is gonna burn me. Buti na lang, hindi ko siya nire-reach. Kumbaga, mataas lang siya doon sa tire ko. So, yun. Sadly, he's not getting the minutes. I'm just hoping na eventually come trade deadline, matrade siya sa better team na mas pagbibigay sa kanya ng opportunity. But for now, ang nagiging ano lang sa akin is um, hindi niya ako sinasaktan sa free throws. Kahit pa dos-dos lang yung free throws niya. Pero other than that, napaka-alat. So I'm not buying Jonas Valanciunas. I'm still holding Jonas Valanciunas. Pero in 12s and shallower, borderline droppable na siya. Next set of 10. Drew Holiday, mga paps. So, Drew Holiday, eto, ano ko din to, tawag dito. I was also too optimistic for Drew Holiday. Hindi ko naman siya palyado talaga yon yung pick ko ng Drew Holiday no first mock namin. Feeling ko na pick ko ata siya around 9-ish. So agree ako kay ano, tawag dito Josh Lloyd na uy, masyadong maaga yan. Syempre, hindi ko na bukod sa mock lang yon. Sabi ko nga, nag-aasikaso ako ng anak nun eh. Tapos fan trucks pa siya. Nakalito talaga. Nasa Q ko kasi si Jero Holiday. So, is just, of course, I'm accountable. Wala namang kaso sa akin yun. Kahit sabihin yun, sabaw yung pick yun. Wala ganun talaga eh. Na-pick ko siya eh. Pero, eventually, wala akong Jero Holiday sa actual leagues ko. Kasi, alam ko nga na he's not gonna be the same. But there's an area, I guess yun yung area na ang available na lang na option ay siya, probably sino ba yung mga ka-bracket na siya, si Keontae, si Rozier, 'di ba? So yun na lang doon sa area na yun kasi sina Ivy, si Ivy maybe sina Conley sa bandang next round pa eh. So doon sa area na yun, ang pinipili ko kasi either si ano na eh, si Ivy, si Rozier or si tawag dito, si Keontae over him just because of the upside eh. Tapos iilang situation lang yun na andun pa siya. So hindi talaga ako nakakuha ng opportunity na nakunin si Jrue Holiday. Yung ibang rounds na ando si Jrue na option siya sa akin as guard, mostly nagiging big man pick ko yun. Either I get a Zubac or a Kessler. So wala talaga. Wala akong chance to get a Jrue Holiday. Unfortunately, he's not providing a lot of stats. Kung may pagtatanggol ako kay Drew Holiday, I just think the more competitive the opponent is, mas magiging better yung stats niya. If it's a team that, kayang-kaya, doon siguro magiging hilaw. Not only yung stats but also the minutes of Jrue Holiday. At pumapalo talaga ngayon si Derek White. Eh. Hindi ko na lang din nilagay doon sa trending up pero siya talaga yung mas nabibigyan ng highlight. So maybe it's the age, maybe it's pacing, but he's actually trending down. Of course, he is a hold. Of course, you won't drop Jrue Holiday. Maybe sa shallower leagues, 10 team, fine. 12 team, hold pa. Pero similar to Jonas Valanciunas could be borderline. Depende na lang siguro kung paano mo binuo yung team mo. At depende sa available na free agents. Pero yeah, trending down, Drew Holiday. ito yung mga situation na I'm not really sure how upward trend could he get more. He's gonna be better, pero iffy na ako ng konti. Jonathan Kuminga, if there's a silver lining sa injury ni Stephen Curry, baka yung opportunity na meron si Jonathan Kuminga. Alam mo yan, magpainit kumbaga. I've been saying this multiple times. GSW, Houston Rockets, and Utah Jazz. Yung rotation nila at yung current situation nila is too crowded for my liking. So, meron ako mga Jonathan Kuminga, mga one or two. Kasi yun yung mga liga ko na I needed a good forward that has upside. And doon siya nagfo-fall. So, iniisip ko, ay, baka naman mali ako. Parang baka masyadong conservative yung iniisip ko sa Golden State. Sayang naman to. So, pag tinignan ko yung mga option, I'd rather have it. Like, for example, goods naman yung mga Norman Powell, yung mga ganun. Kaso, masyadong maaga para doon sa scoring at that area. So, yun. Kaya, nakukuha ko si Jonathan Kuminga. O kaya, masyado siya nagsaslide. But, yeah, good opportunity. Posible kasing trending down siya, tapos may value doon. Tapos mag-trending up siya, tapos bigla dumating si Stephen Curry, mag-trending down ulit siya. So, medyo tricky. So, kailangan talaga ma-establish ni Jonathan Kuminga yung presence niya. The whole time sa preseason, a lot of analysts, reporters, and articles and sites are saying Jonathan Kuminga is the second best player of the Golden State Warriors. As of the moment, we are not seeing that. So I hope that kind of like flips sa masusunod na week. I think so. And then sana, yun nga, makuha niya as a momentum shifter yung absence ni Stephen Curry. Pero if you ask me, low-key solid din yung Andrew Wiggins na last pick or later picks. So ngayon, bumalik na siguro yung confidence ni Wiggins. And I think the Golden State Warriors a little bit has more trust to Wiggins over Kuminga as of the moment. Next player, isa to sa mga gusto kong upside picks Keontae George. When you draft someone like Keontae George, obviously kailangan alam mo yung expect mo. Bad field goal percentage. Several games na alam mong mahihirapan siya kasi younger guard, turnovers, scoring is gonna be up and down. Especially while Markkanen is there. But isa kasi siya, usually kinukuha ko siya as may fourth or third guard para solid agad yung dalawang guard ko. So, meron akong room for Keontae. Kasi alam ko, pagdating ng second half of the season, posibleng mabaliktad na yan. Si Keontae na yung magdadala. Lalo na if something happens with the Utah Jazz transactions, kung anong move na gagawin ni Danny Ainge. So there's definitely an upside there. So that's the reason why I like Keontae. But for now, he's definitely trending down. Kapag may nag-drop dyan, i-add ko yan. And you can buy low kay Keontae and what else? He's not rosterable in 10 teams as of the moment. In 12 teams, definitely posibleng gusto niyo nang i-draft pero I'll still hold si Keontae. I think medyo massive yung upside niya compared to other options for the second half of the season. Alex Caruso, medyo na-touch natin to. He's trending down, obviously, because he's not getting a lot of minutes. And minutes equates chance to get stocks. Si Alex Caruso, siya yung isa sa mga players na if he's not getting stocks, zero value. So, with that said, yun yung reason. Kaya yung iba halos i-drop na si Alex Caruso. Standard and shallower, fine. I'm cool with it na i-drop si Alex Caruso. Maybe feeling ko kasi feeling ko mas madaming option pa. So if dinraft nyo lang siya for the stocks, there are several other players that is already doing that na mas okay yung role. Alam ko na eventually he's gonna trend upwards. Kanina tumaas na rin yung minutes niya. Pero sakit kasi na may Dort saka Kayson Wallace yung OKC. And explain ko na yan I think low-key na si Kayson Wallace could be a better on-ball sa on-ball on-ball defender. Probably the same sila, pero he's the future, Kayson Wallace. And it's definitely evident do sa mga games ni Quezon Wallace, getting almost always 3 steals per game. No? So that's a main hurdle for Alex Caruso to get his value trending upward. So yun. Will I buy Caruso? Pass, siguro. I'd rather get other options na mas cheaper or yung iba nga nasa FA lang. Like for example, Quezon Wallace, stream ko na lang siya. 'Di ba? Kasi magbay ako ng Alex Caruso. So, pass tayo kay Alex Caruso. He'll definitely trend upwards the way I see it. Kaso, yun nga, the upside is a little bit low. Medyo questionable na bigla sa akin if he can do it consistently just because of the other options that OKC has. I hope I'm wrong. Amen Thompson, ako, madaming hay kay Amen Thompson. Na, almost similar din to kay Jonathan Kuminga, mga paps eh. The Houston Rockets is just too deep. And tapos si Tari Eason na akala ko upo ng isang araw at sabi ko, ito na yun. Ito na yung opportunity ni Amin Thompson na inihintay. Hindi pa nangyari. So if Tari Eason is gonna play back-to-back games, then mukhang peak na yon. Yung around give or take 20 minutes ni Amin Thompson. If he's not doing anything and he is already turning the ball over a lot. Kung isang araw, 8 turnovers ba yun? O 6 turnovers? Then that's gonna be a problem. So hold ba si Amin Thompson? Depende sa pagkakabuo ng team nyo. Kung deeper leagues yan, wala kayong choice. Asa na tayo na sa upside ni Amin Thompson na mangyari siya. Dyson Daniels is already doing what we're expecting with Amin Thompson. So, yun yung inaasahan natin. But it's gonna take a lot of things to happen para mag-materialize yung Amin Thompson hope natin. So, for now, of course, shallower leagues, drop in 14 teams, maybe. Depende sa available free agent, depende doon sa pagkakabuo ng team nyo. Pero ako, I'll try to hold. Ako, mga paps, isa lang amin ko. Tama ba? Isa lang. Yes. Isa lang amin ko. Kasi ang daming high sa kanya, hindi ko na siya makuha doon sa gusto kong round. So, siguro sinuwerte tayo ngayon. Pero if biglang mag-hit si Amin, malas natin kasi hindi tayo nakakuha. Pero I think they already almost paid for it dahil nire-reach na kasi Amin. But anyways, I think he's gonna definitely be better. It just happened to be better but still capped. Alam niyo yun? Na parang may ibubuga pa siya dito pero hindi pa rin niya matotodo. Siguro kasi masyadong deep ang Houston Rockets. Zach Edey, ano bang masasabi ko kay Zach Edey? So, in-expect natin na it's gonna be Zach Edey all the way. Pagkatapos, in-expect din natin na baka tawag dito, baka si Brandon Clark lang yung kalaban niya. Pero di ba naalala niyo yung sabi ko na, if that's the case, pwede kang mag-go against the grain. Wherein, what if masyado pang hilaw si Zach Edey pagkatapos mas mabigyan ng chance si uh, Brandon Clark. So, yun yung parang, hindi ko in-encourage, pero nilatag ko lang na posible mangyari. Ngayon, hindi ko in-expect na hindi si Brandon Clark dapat yung gamitin ko ngayon. Kasi Brandon Clark is getting power around 15 minutes. Tapos, feeling ko naglalaro siya sa power forward center. I think nalimutan ko at di ko din inakala na meron pang J-Huff na is playing better than Brandon Clark. So, with that said, of course, it's gonna be Zach Edey. Ang problema kasi si J-Huff tumitira ng tres and is also known to be a good defender. Is more agile and I don't know. So it's tricky for Zach Edey. I still think he has that upside. And yeah, hold muna kay Zach Edey. Huwag muna natin i-drop. Marcus Smart, almost similar doon sa mga Jrue Holiday. Ang pagkakaiba lang siguro, mas maja-justify ko na si Marcus Smart is in a new team. So baka pwede natin bigyan ng pass sa pag-adjust and transition to the new team. Pero it's not looking good for Marcus Smart. We are expecting good threes and steals from him. Kaso siya, pagkatapos sila Gary Trent, ito yung mga in-expect natin. Tapos ngayon, wala nangyayari. Kasi from one of the steals guy ng liga, si Marcus Smart. biglang nawala siya this year. Okay, last three. Mike Conley, kasunod din ni Marcus Smart. Ito, mas medyo nakakakaba na and parang trending down talaga na solid si Marcus Smart. Lalo na si Mike Conley. So unless you want additional assist without hurting you sa field goal and turnovers, then yun lang yung situation kung bakit ko i-add at gugustuhin si Mike Conley. Other than that, the Dante DiVincenzo trade really impacted him and also impacted yung value ni Rob Dillingham. Noah Clowney. Ito, interesting to specifically for this week. Kasi this week, may 4 games ang Brooklyn Nets. And may back-to-back sila. So I'm not sure kung palalaroin na back-to-back si Nick Claxton. So there's an opportunity there. He already played 13 minutes early year today. So it's nice na nakahulog po siya ng tres. The upside is really there. The upside is really there. Tapos sobrang solid pa ng position niya. It's just a matter of yung opportunity kung kailan mangyayari. So far, hindi pa siya nangyayari. And nakakatakot lang na baka mamaya bumalik yung mga big man. Tapos hindi pa din nakakabuelo si Noah Clowney. So hopefully this week makabuelo siya. And hopefully it allows the Brooklyn Nets to give him a consistent rotation minutes na around 20 minutes man lang. Wag naman yung halos wala nang minutes. Good thing, mas inuuna na siya over other players. So, that's nice. And hopefully, it trends upward. Trends upward sa mga susunod na week. This week, marami akong inad na Noah Clowney. Just because of the 4 games and just because of Noah Claxton possibly not playing in back-to-backs. Last one, Ben Simmons. Okay. So, isa ako dun sa mga Ben Simmons drafter. Meron ata ako dalawang Ben Simmons. Usually kinuha ko siya ng last pick or second to the last pick kapag naghahabol ako ng assist. Ito na naman ang tanong ko ngayon. So, he seems healthier. Now what? So, trending down para sa akin si Ben Simmons kasi healthy siya pero he's still not getting a lot of minutes. He's still not getting good enough stats for me to warrant na ay kailangan ko talaga siya sa team ko. So unless otherwise kailangan ko ng assist, then questionable na sa akin si Ben Simmons. Ang gusto ko lang kasi kay Ben Simmons yung possibility for him na magwalwal na almost triple-double-ish na stats Kaso the Brooklyn Nets is giving a lot of minutes and a lot of usage to Dennis Schroeder. It could happen definitely maybe in come trade deadline. Pero kailan pa yon? So currently may decision ka. You can drop Ben Simmons or you hold him. He's trending down. He should be trending up just because he's healthy. Pero trending down kasi he's not doing a lot of things. And he's giving you turnovers. He's not shooting threes. He's not shooting free throws very well. So, it's just about the assist and additional rebounds. Wala ka pa nakukuha solid na stocks. So, yeah. Will I hold Ben Simmons? It depends. Like, to be honest, if there's like a Grayson Allen floating, I might end up picking Grayson Allen over him. If there's kahit nga yung yung Deuce McBride, lalo na baka hindi din maglaro si Josh Hart, baka i-stream. So, lumalabas parang stream slot mo din si Ben Simmons. So, abang-abang na lang tayo kung ano pang mangyayari sa lineup nila pero it's not looking good for Ben Simmons. Him being healthy is already a win. So in deeper leagues, mapapakinabangan talaga siya. In standard leagues and yung medyo standard, kunwari mga 14 na mas may mga available na free agents, then yun, baka tawag dito, posibleng droppable. Pero yung 16 team pababa, hold muna. Let's just ride the show. Ang upside lang ni Ben Simmons, sabi ko nga, pag biglang nagkaroon ng trade or whatever, mawala si Dennis Schroeder, then there's value na mas makakadagdag kay Ben Simmons. Pero that's a lot of ifs, no? Kung doon mo i-aangkla. Buti na lang, last picks natin to si Ben Simmons. So, not bad at all. Okay. So, ayan mga paps. So, this is how would it look like moving forward. Every week, pipili ako ng 40 names. Posibleng gawin ko na itong 50 next week. Pero kailangan ko lang mag-prepare ahead of time. Na pag-uusapan natin yung trends, then saka natin i-discuss kung buy low siya, hold, or sell high. And then yung mga angles na hindi natin basta-basta makikita pag titig lang doon sa mga stats. So I hope you guys liked it. If you think na mas okay yung ibang version, then it's fine. Ako kasi gusto ko lang din lagyan ng storytelling yung mga episodes natin aside from the usual stat based na presentation. Kasi yung mga yun, mababasa at makikita nyo na yan anywhere. Tapos ikaw mismo kaya mo mag-analyze using the box score. So dagdagan na lang natin ng ibang flavor or ibang take na para magkaroon kayo ng another perspective. Not saying na i-follow nyo or gawin nyo yung mga suggestion or yung mga nilatag natin na anggulo. I'm just saying na you can consider it and then hopefully kung ano man yung magiging final decision nyo, nasama siya. Hindi siya na-disregard. Okay, that's it. Maraming maraming salamat mga paps again. Follow our page at Facebook, Fantasy Basketball PH, NBA Fantasy Papi at X or Twitter, YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Try natin pagkakitaan. So baka mas maging aggressive ako to market that. And ayun, maraming maraming salamat mga paps. Happy Monday. Always choose peace. Bye-bye.